Hello and welcome to Topic of the Month with Psychebabble Foundation. Today we are talking about self-harming and mental health. So I'm just going to give a few minutes for other people to join us and then we can get started. We have a guest today, anyway, we have a beautiful guest today who will be joining us shortly. And as usual, on each hi, okay, she's here, so I would just bring her up while we get started. Hello, you guys, welcome. Comment. All right. So, again, for people who are not aware, we are Psychebabble Foundation. Hi.
Oh my God, why is my camera the other way?
It's flipped. Yeah, you can just flip the camera over.
Come in. Aha, good.
Okay,
Hi,
that's good. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Hi, Sandra. How you doing?
I'm very fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine.
Oh, so good to see you. 1 minute, please. I'm trying to switch to my
Wait for more people.
earphones, actually. I'm trying to switch to my earphones, but I don't know what the problem is. I can't seem to do that.
Okay.
Um, I don't know why this is not working. Okay. All right. I really don't know why this is not working, but we can just
But
get
I can hear
started
you.
then.
I mean, I think it's clear.
Yeah, it's just so you,
Yes, I can.
okay, so the same thing. Anyway, all right. Hi guys. I speak therapy for Christians. Ojuri, I'm sorry, I'm not even going to try. Let me not murder people's names. So welcome to Topic of the Month with Psychebabble Foundation. Each month we have this conversation surrounding mental health and talk about it. And you guys can also chip in your thoughts and questions. You can also use the question sticker below to ask your questions. Topic is we're discussing self-harm. So if you have anything to say, questions, whatever, you can just ask us. Leave your questions in the question sticker and we'll get them answered. So again, my name is Sandra, and today I have this amazing guest here. I will let her introduce herself. All right. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Abolanle Efeturi, and I'm a licensed counselor and psychotherapist based in Lagos, Nigeria. I know we're here talking about self-harm today, which is quite a common challenge for younger people, younger adults, and how you can help as a society. Because for me, I'm always talking mental health for everybody because, I mean, apart from the person who is suffering, everybody around needs to be aware as well so that we can help in the most appropriate way. So for this
Yeah.
30, 40 minutes, we'll be talking about self-harming, which is a coping skill from intense emotional issues. Yeah. Welcome to today's live. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Bolanle, for coming. It's amazing. So like she mentioned and like I have mentioned earlier, we're talking about self-harming. A lot of people actually think self-harming is a mental disorder on its own, but let me break it to you guys. It's not. It's really not. It is a coping mechanism, like she said, for some people, but it's not a diagnosable mental um, disorder. All right. So for us to just get started, could you just tell us what self-harming is for people who are not even aware? What is self-harm?
Okay. Self-harm is a non-suicidal self-injury, which usually comes in the form of cutting, hitting, scraping, burning for some people. I mean, use of lighters and things like that.
Yeah.
It's how people cope when they are having emotional stress or distress, and it's common amongst young adults, which are adolescents, teenagers, and people in their early 20s, say between the ages of 13 to 23. Now, it could be more, it could be less, but within that bracket, that's where you find people self-harming. It's a way of them just showing that I'm not okay, I'm in distress. It's a call for help, usually, for people in that age group. So personally, I call it like a juvenile coping mechanisms, because for some reason you don't see adults doing it.
A lot
It's
of
mostly
adults.
young people. And this is my theory. I don't know if it's a thing, but I feel like people graduate from, because cutting and self-harming is what younger people do because maybe they don't know any other way to cope, or they cannot afford, other maladaptive coping mechanisms like taking alcohol, drugs, and the rest of it. So it's something younger people do because that's what they know to cope with whatever emotional issues they're going through. So basically, that's what self-harming is. So you find them amongst people a lot. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for clarifying that. Particularly, especially with the coping skills. So during one of my readings a while back, I came across something that mentioned that for some of these adolescents, it's more of a learned behavior in the sense that they picked it up from, what's it called now? Like, kind of like a risk factor. Is that what they've seen an adult or someone else in their family member who self-harms.
Doing it.
So they kind of pick that up. Yeah.
And in
so
schools as well. So, kids as sponges, they pick up from one another. It's something that can be learned. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, so we all know that children learn by what they see, right? Young people learn by what they see. So that being said, what are some of the risk factors that are associated with self-harming or could lead to self-harm?
So self-harm, like you said at the beginning, it's not a mental illness, neither is it a mental health issue. So it's not a standalone. However, any emotional distress can lead to self-harm. It could be from trauma, depression, anxiety, or intense emotions that they do not know how to manage, can lead to self-harm. So it could be a range of it could be bipolar, it could be anything. It could be a range of mental health issues that would lead a person to self-harm. It's just that route they have chosen to cope with their mental health struggles. Now, other people could use other routes, but some people could just choose to self-harm. So it's a way of numbing the pain or, feeling relief or transferring the emotion. So they want to transfer their whatever pain they are feeling to the physical pain they are causing themselves from the self-harm. So that's basically how it works. Those are the things. So even when people are being medicated for, let's say there's a self-harm emergency and they are going to be medicated and all of that, it's still the same medication for depression, anxiety that they're going to get. It's not special treatment. However, their therapy could be to, that particular coping mechanism. So it could be a range of mental health that would lead a person to self-harm.
Yeah.
I think depression usually, to be honest.
And also anxiety, because I feel like depression and anxiety in particular, because I remember, I think it was last year, I had a client who mentioned that the reason why they self-harm, it's more like when they feel that when they're having a depressive episode, it kind of feels like they don't feel anything. So they self-harm to kind of make sure that they are still alive, if that makes any sense.
So that you take away the feeling of nothingness into something.
Exactly. So I've seen that happen as well. All right. So before I go, there's a particular question I want to ask that a lot of people happen to ask all the time. But before that, how about we address this thing about people thinking, oh, if someone is self-harming, then they're suicidal?
Okay, yeah. So like I said at the beginning, it's also known as non-suicidal injury. So the intention is not to die, really. However, in very, very few cases, the injury could be major. Maybe you try to cut yourself and then you cut a nerve and then you bleed to death. It's a rare case. Anyone who self-harms will have a suicidal, will have like an emergency I would not speak of. because the intention is not to kill themselves. The intention is
It's
pain,
trying to help. Yeah.
emotion, or to feel some pain. The intention is not to die. So it's different from someone who is actively trying to end it all, trying to die. So I mean, that's why, self-harm can be very dangerous, and because people could do it for years and nobody will know. I mean,
Yeah.
years and years and years, and they will just keep it secret because they usually cut themselves in hidden
In
places.
places where you won't see.
Want other people to know that they do it. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, intention is not to die. So it's non-suicidal injury.
Okay. All right. So before we go on to the next, Margold 2, I see you've requested to be on the live. Please just stay a little bit longer, and we'll take what's it called, contributions and questions towards the end. But just so we have a basic understanding of what self-harm is, so just stick on a little bit, all right? Meanwhile, if you have a question, if what you are about to contribute is a question, you can leave it in the question sticker just below your
Yeah.
screen. You should see a question mark. Hit it and leave us questions there. Okay. All right. So what should people look out for? So you have a sibling or you have a friend and you're worried that there's something wrong with this person, or you feel like there's something wrong. What are some things that we should look out for just to be sure that this person is not self-harming or any of those things?
Okay, I think that's a tricky one, because if you know someone who is not okay, I think
Mm-hmm.
not knowing that they are not okay is enough. To be honest, it's not until
Mm-hmm.
you know that the person is self-harming, then you do something about it. I think
Yes.
the fact that you know helps already, and like it is with any other mental health issue or any other kind of support arrangement, you just ask them how they are feeling. If they are open to talking to you, listen. Because I feel like the number one thing a supporter can do is to listen. Now, I think I would like
Yes.
to rephrase that question to be, what do you do when you find out that for sure this person is self-harming? Because everybody is not going to self-harm. That's what I think.
Sure.
So I feel like it's not a
Sure.
case of, oh, let them be until you find out they're self-harming. If
Mm-hmm.
you actually notice maybe a cut or something strange, do not panic, number one. And for me, I feel like it's mostly, family members, parents that would panic, when they see such a thing. But I think the first
Yeah.
step is don't panic, ask questions, don't press anyway. I think you should just ask questions like, oh, are you okay? Oh, I saw that thing on your app. What is it? What happened? And I believe that if you already have a good relationship, they might
Mm.
be able to open. However, if you observe to notice that there are more cuts or burns or things like that, then maybe you need to escalate in terms of reach out to a professional, what can be done, and all of that, to make sure that this person is okay and they get the help they need. Also, if you notice that, especially for younger ones, if they have deep cuts or cuts that might need medical attention, it should be treated first. Because yes, they will get help for it, but then you don't want your child or your person having an infection, and that could lead to bigger issues. So
Yeah.
anything that requires maybe a stitch, maybe antibiotics, maybe some sort of intervention, please do. And the truth is, it is very hard for a loved one to manage a person that is self-harming. It is very
Mm-hmm.
hard. The only thing you can do is be a shoulder, let them trust you, and eventually get them professional help so
Yeah.
that somebody can take it further.
Mm. I agree with you, especially for the part where you mentioned parents, because seeing that we already know that the biggest population of people who self-harm are like young adults and adolescents. When parents find out, most of the time they're in shock. Then they kind of, at least based on the experiences I've seen and had, it's more of the experience is shock and then they go into denial. Oh no, that's not happening. And then they
Yes.
begin to
And then they
punish
take
the
you for
child.
deliverance.
Exactly. So they punish the child, and the different punishments could come as deliverance, locking you up, and things like that. All right. So I completely
Yeah.
agree with what you say. If you notice that your child or your sibling or your friend, whoever, is self-harming, the most important thing is just to be calm and remember that it's sort of like a cry for help, if you want to look at it in that way. So they need
Yes.
help, or they need help, and so you can help them, direct them to the right professionals, or just provide the most important thing, just provide your shoulder for them to lean on at that point in time. All right,
Yeah.
that's
And
great.
right, so that means they can still keep going for a while. So I feel like it's not something that you need to rush and do something about like today or tomorrow, but
Yeah.
slowly get them to that point where they are receptive to getting help. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. All right, let me see if I can bring in Margold for a minute and see what he or she has to say before we get before we continue. Just holding on. But meanwhile, while we're waiting on Margold, so what? Okay, hi,
Good evening. Hi, good evening, ma.
good
Hi,
evening. How are you?
Ma,
my God, youngin.
yes, I just
First of
wanted
all,
to
what's your
thank,
name, please?
yes, I am.
Okay, I am Mide. Nice to meet you. Thank you for joining the live.
Thank you too, ma.
All right. So, do you have a question for us or a contribution?
Yes, there's a contribution.
Okay.
Yes, I just wanted to thank you for this topic because a lot of youths go through things like this self and most people do it because yes, they are in pain, but like they want to feel much more pain. So people do it to themselves. So like I just really appreciate this topic because most youths really need this topic. Like it's
Hmm.
really helpful. So thank you so much.
Thank
And
you
yes,
so much.
most people that do things like this doesn't really mean that they are suicidal, but at the same time, it's it's actually like it's upgrades, oh, because once they start doing something like this, they start thinking of doing something else. From there, they start thinking of doing something else. That's how it starts from. It starts from little. So that's
I
it.
agree with you. I completely agree with you in terms of the fact that I graduate. It might take years, but I
Yes.
feel a person that can self-harm is already on that path of being suicidal someday, if nothing
Mhm.
is done. Yeah. Mm.
Yes. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much, Ayamide, for chipping in on this conversation. Don't forget to share this to your friends. They can join this conversation. And even when we upload it, you can share it to as many more people who you think would benefit from this. Okay?
Okay, ma. Thank you. Bye.
All right.
All
Thank you
right,
so
bye.
much. Please do not leave the live. Watch till the end. Okay?
Okay. Okay. Sure. Sure. Sure.
All right, then. Have a good day.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
All right. I think Ayomide made like quite an interesting contribution, though we've also mentioned it already. But the fact that people who self-harm, it doesn't automatically like lead them to being suicidal or things like that. It's just more like that journey or that pathway, if not treated or managed properly. And again, for people who are just joining, we're talking about self-harm. If you have questions, please use the question sticker at the end, at the bottom of your screen, and then we can answer your questions. If you have
Yeah.
contribution, also you can let us know. You can join the live if you want to talk to either of us. Um, Again, quickly for people who are still here, Psychebabble Foundation is a youth-led NGO that provides free mental health care to Nigerians both home and abroad. All you have to do if you need to talk to somebody, all you have to do is just click the link in our bio or send us a DM. It's that simple. And a counselor will be assigned to you, and then you can chat with them from the comfort of your home. It's that simple. All right. Okay, so let's get back to the topic on ground. All right. So there's something else I wanted to like quickly mention. Okay. So we've seen cases of people who like cut their hands, right, or have or burn themselves, but they continue to hide it. Someone said, okay, if it's a cry for help, why hide it? What do you have to say about that?
I think like from my experience with people that self-harm, it's a cry for help. Um, and also it's also a shameful activity that people hide. It's the same way as, sorry, I don't know if I can say, it's the same way as people who masturbate. And I mean, they do it, but they don't like it, but they hide it. I mean, I don't understand. You understand what I mean? Like, in terms of, it's something that is, people that self-harm feel a lot of shame, because from experience, that shame is very huge. And I'm like, okay, why are you hiding it? I mean, if it was easy, it's the same thing as something bad happening to you. Maybe a person that was raped, a person that was molested. It's something bad that happened to them. It's not their shame, but they still feel the shame. It's the same way as self-harming. It's their own way of self-soothing, really. It's not about somebody else. So they can't go about saying, oh, look at my scar. Oh, look at what I did to myself. Oh, look, because of course people will panic and people would panic and people will want to intervene and all of that. It's I mean, if it was easy to communicate your pain, you would have easily just walked up to someone and said, please look at what I'm going through, see what's happening to me, and someone would have been able to help, which of course is, but as we know, it's sometimes it's not as easy. People are struggling and they cannot speak up. You know, people are going through things and they can't speak up because sometimes, and what I've also observed is that 8 out of 10 times when you have a person who is self-harming, they do not have a support system. There are usually people who don't have friends. There are usually people who, they might have parents, but then they don't have that relationship where they can bare their heart and say, I'm going through this, or they feel, oh, my mom is going to shout, my dad does not care, and things like that. So it's also part of the reason why people self-harm is because, you know, they don't have a secure attachment, you know. So it's also, if you look at it at the end of the day, it's like you can already design the trail, how it goes for a person who is already self-harming, because then you are like, who do you talk to when you're going through something? It's like nobody. Who do you talk to when there is always that lack of support that you see? You know, although recently, you know, in my practice, I haven't had lots of self-harm clients, but when I used to work with money, I used to get a lot. I mean, self-harm was like one client every week. There's always somebody who is doing something, who is either a student, someone who is trying to do something, and, you know, all of that. And the same thing happens. There is no support in the first place. So yes, it's a cry for help, but at the same time, you know, people do not necessarily speak out when you think they should. So there's no rational thinking in mental health. There's no rationality, really. You can't rationalize why, you know, a person was raped but didn't talk, or a person is harming but won't say anything. You know, so that kind of thing. That's how it works.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think the contributing factor to why people would, you know, hide and not want to talk about it, even when people see the scars, they will not want to talk about it. They give you an excuse of, oh yeah, I slipped and, you know, I fell, or oh yeah, I got burned by the stove or something like that. They come up with these excuses. It's that stigma that is attached to it, just the same way there's that stigma attached to almost any mental health issue. Because ideally, if I broke a bone and I have a cast on and somebody sees, you know, I'm not going to try to inconvenience myself and then wear a long sleeve even when the weather is so hot because I have a cast on. You know, it's just a broken bone. It's going to heal. I fell down and I broke my bone. It's that simple. But in our society, in our community, it's a thing of, because people can't see what exactly you're going through, they automatically assume that, yeah, it's not there. So you're just, it's in your head. Like the way some people will say, oh, it's just in your head. Yeah. Somebody has depression. It's just in your head. Yes, it is just in their head because their brain is being affected. Their mind is being affected. But because they can't see things, people just assume that it's not there. So I think it's that stigma from the society and from our community. You see someone cutting themselves and you're like, are you okay? Are you in your right senses? Why would you cut yourself? You know, things like,
I think it's quite a controversial coping mechanism because people can never understand why you would cut yourself.
Exactly.
It's very misunderstood. And
I think especially the same thing. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Especially for males also, you know, it's like the age range as well. That is the age range. I feel mental health is even harder for younger people. As an adult, you can say, oh, I'm going through this, and people would really feel a bit of compassion. But when a child or is, I'm going through something, you know, the normal assumption you have food. Yes, you have food. I feel that's the stage where mental health is so underrated because people look at you and like, you're not trying to pay your school fees, you're not feeding yourself. What could be wrong? You know, and the rationale comes in, people are trying to rationalize, okay, why? You have food, you're going to a good school, your parents love you. What else could be wrong? So I
Yeah.
think a component of that, yeah, can be the
I
reason
think it's
why
also one
people.
of the reasons. I feel like it's also one of the reasons why mental health issues are diagnosed as early as they are. Young people are struggling with these things. You see someone who is going through bullying in school, for example. I was on my YouTube channel, I had a conversation with someone, which will be going up on Saturday. I had a conversation with someone, and he was talking about how bullying has been in existence for so long, since, we knew anything. It's been there, just that there's no term for it called bullying at that time. But it's more like this person is going through bullying in school, but if they had that support and they came to the parent or went to the teacher or someone else to say, "Oh, I'm being bullied by this," they handled that problem immediately without first of all blaming the child. That child will be able to overcome that situation of bullying, because we know bullying happens a lot in high school, in secondary schools, and all that, right? But if that child is being bullied and they can't go to the parent, they can't go to the teacher, it becomes something that affects them till for so long, and their self-esteem crumbles, and now they develop anxiety going out, and you just see how the change just continues growing. And then this person in the future, or just when they are entering into uni, this person is diagnosed with clinical depression or with severe anxiety or whatever. So it becomes like this circle, right? Because you
I
could
agree
not
with you.
handle that bullying
Bullying
that.
has been there forever. I mean, one of my most remarkable clients this year she's one of those people that made me sit back and think. And you know what, how our profession is. Sometimes
Yeah.
you don't in the therapy, it's you also being like, man, like it just makes you aware of more things that beyond what you
Yeah.
have experienced, beyond
Totally.
what is possible. A person who was bullied from JS1 to SS3 who is over 30 and still suffering from,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
so
Yeah.
goes a long way, in terms of how a person becomes or how they turn out if things are addressed and done at the right
Yeah.
time and appropriately. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. So anyway, that's just the sidebar. But for people who say if it's such a coping skill or it's not this and it's not that, why do they hide? It's usually because of the stigma, and also because of that question you just asked. Because ideally, you would not ask someone to hide their cast or to hide taking paracetamol because they don't feel well. So why would you question someone taking medications for a mental issue, or why would you question someone who wants to sleep in bed all day because they are not feeling up to it? There's no need. Just offer your shoulder, and if you can't do that, just keep walking. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Don't make some
That's it.
judgmental comment. Yeah. Okay. So before we round up, I'm going to ask you about the other healthy coping skills that people can replace with self-harm, and also some of the treatment methods, if that's possible. And but before that, we'll be rounding up in any moment from now. So if you have any questions, please ask, or if you'd like to contribute, just request, and you'll be added to the line. So how about we talk about the coping skills, then the treatment methods?
Okay, so if you're to do a first aid for somebody who is self-harming, which
Mm-hmm.
is, I mean, I don't think it's impossible. I just feel mental health, if everybody was more attentive, there's a lot of first aid that can be done,
Yeah.
outside getting professional help. So, learn the shoulder, which is the first thing. Hopefully they can tell you why or what they are going through. Do not
Yeah.
rationalize, what you think it is, whether you think it's big enough or it's not big enough. Also, what you can do is a distraction technique for a person who is self-harming. Distraction means, first you need to identify your triggers, what makes you get there? Is it a thought that makes you get there? Is it an event that makes you get there? And find a way to distract. So you can distract by listening to music, maybe one of your
Mm-hmm.
favorite music. You can put it on play. It doesn't matter how you feel. Music is something I love so much. It helps me a whole lot. It doesn't matter how I'm feeling. Like once you put on music, you become good.
Yeah.
After like 3 minutes of listening to it, or maybe after I repeat music, or you can take a walk. If that's something that helps, if you understand your trigger and you know that, okay, I'm about to self-harm, I'm about to cut myself, also you can, I mean, when you are feeling good and feeling great, you can get rid of all sharp objects, lighters, blades, knives, whatever you use. So make your environment rid of those things so that when you're
Yeah.
feeling low, you don't have them at your disposal. Okay, you can also call a friend. So, for example, if you are the friend who has been supporting, if the person is feeling some kind of way, make yourself available for a call or for a conversation, talk them through however they are feeling at that point in time. Journaling, but I don't think journaling is distracting. I think it's more of a processing technique
Yeah, it's
because
a process technique.
you can get yourself to the point of writing down your emotions, because I feel like you got to that point of cutting at first because you couldn't air whatever it was that you're going through. So journaling is a way of just expressing those emotions you are feeling, saying it like it is, cry, whatever you need to do, but keep
Yeah.
writing. Also, what can you do? Processing, go for therapy. If
Mm.
processing
Okay.
technique, which is go for therapy, yes, go for therapy, because that really helps you to get out everything, keep your appointments. And I expect that the therapist will use maybe CBT methods to sort of analyze your thoughts and track how your thoughts affect your feelings and how your feelings affect your behavior, and
Yeah.
then just find other ways of coping. Now it's a gradual process. A person who self-harms 5 times a week might reduce to 3 times a week. That's progress. And
Big
eventually,
progress.
hopefully you get to the place where it feels like, okay, I can do without this and I can find other ways of coping, and build your support system. Very important. No man is an island. Living alone, isolation doesn't help mental health at all.
At all.
Even if it's one person or two people, continuously build your support system. And while you get people to support you, support others. I think that's the way it goes round. And everybody has support at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. I think that's something. And so one more thing I'm going to chip in. A lot of times, because a lot of self-harming is done in secret. All right, a lot of it is done in secret. So one thing you can also add to your distracting methods or any other coping skill or anything else is, if you have family members around, if you don't live alone, when you notice that feels like you're about to start self-harming, go to, even if you don't have to feel like they're giving you all the love, just go where people are. All right, it kind of
Yeah.
contribute to whatever conversation is going on. If they're watching something on TV, join them to watch whatever it is. Just be in the midst of people, that community, and also just not being by yourself. It could help you get distracted and not actually engage in self harming.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. All right. So I don't know if you've had. Oh yeah, you've mentioned that you've had clients who self harm before. So how did you handle it in therapy, and what other ways could people try in regards to
Well,
treatment?
yes, in terms of treatment, I was reading up and someone was saying, oh, do they have self-harm specialists? I'm like, I don't think there's anything like that, but um, I, I believe it's by experience,
Mm,
able to help one person. One thing I've learned about therapy is it's not so much of your qualifications or your skills, it's
mm,
your humanity beyond anything. You'll be surprised that a lot of people have never come across care or humanity ever. Some people have
yeah,
lived in this world and it's like it's been from one harsh reality to another harsh reality. It might look good on the outside. The show of care, number one, helps people a lot, knowing that they are safe and they are secure in this place and they can say anything and they are not judged and they are understood.
yeah.
Huge, huge for anyone
Indeed.
who is self-harming or any other mental health issues. Like I said, for me, I always like tracking thoughts, because our thoughts are very automatic. We think them and we don't think too much about them. You understand? The first
Yeah.
step is to get the person to feel comfortable, to feel loved, to feel accepted. I think first session is just acceptance, and comfort, comfortability with you, which then opens the door for them to speak openly about, what they are going through, struggles. Sometimes it's things that you think are inconsequential, but yeah, they talk about those things that they feel are inconsequential. They're able to track their thoughts. I give loads and loads of assignment because I feel like a person with self-harming has an activity they are doing that is maladaptive, so they need to be engaged in other things. So I feel keeping you busy. So, I always do this crisis plan thing. Who do you call when something happens to you? Who do you
Yeah.
talk to when XYZ is wrong with you? Do this, do that. I try to pack their day with activity in terms of, okay, how do you wake up? What are the things you do? Let's fill up everything so that we don't have too much room for idleness or
Goodness, yeah.
early. Don't spend 3 hours on social media, that kind of thing. So I feel like keeping them busy, keeping them active, giving them what to do, So in terms of writing, processing, write about this, do that, it occupies them. And, in the few cases I've had, I see that, it made a difference in them, in the short term. And
Yeah.
hopefully if they keep up whatever it was they're supposed to do, it works. So I think your thought process also matters because some people are very negative and they have intrusive thoughts. Those are the things that you need to work on, in therapy. So yeah,
All right.
that's
Thank you
it.
so much for that. Like
Yeah.
Rita just mentioned, she said not everyone has experienced love in their life, so a show of care goes a long way. That's great. And I
Yeah.
completely agree with that, which also brings me to something you mentioned, the crisis plan. Um, the first time I actually started using crisis plan in therapy, I was ridiculously surprised, right? Because so what happens is whenever that person is having an episode or whoever is having an episode, everything else, like nothing makes sense to you at that point in time. Even the things that you know don't seem like it's reality. So if you have the list of people to call, right? You have, okay,
Yeah.
XYZ loves me. So if I call XYZ, she's going to pick up and she's going to come over and help me out. You have that in your plan. The moment you feel like you're having an episode and you take out that plan to look at it, it might not feel like truly this person loves me right now. But if you actually go forward to across, there's that help, and that support. So I think that crisis plan is always amazing. So if you're here or you're watching this at any point in time, and you after a while in therapy, it doesn't look like you have a crisis plan, you can speak to your therapist and develop one. It would really, really help you out. Trust me.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on. I don't think we
You're
have questions.
welcome.
I don't see any questions, but if you still have questions, please
No
you can leave
questions.
them now before I let her go. But before that, could you tell us, in case people are trying to book a session with you or they need to follow you for more mental health tips and all that, could you tell us where they can find you?
Okay, you can always find me on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
So on at care_space ng. It's care space, but then the underscore exists. So it's care_space ng on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram. Send a DM or click the link in bio to book a session and you will be talking to me before you know it.
All
I'm always
right.
there.
All right, so thank you so much. So you guys, I just put that on the screen. Also, it will be in the description box of this video when we upload it. So you just need to, on Instagram, it's at care_space_space ng. All right, so care space ng, but there's an underscore in between. So you can just send her a DM, maybe put a call across if there's a contact number or an email,
Yeah.
whatever. And just like that, you'll be booking your first session with a therapist. Okay? All right, you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sticking with us to the end of this video. We spoke to you about self-harming. We mentioned that self-harm itself is not necessarily a suicidal attempt. It's more a cry for help and an outlet, an unhealthy coping skill for the people who are engaging in self-harm. All right, and when you see anyone, family member, friend, sibling, child who is self-harming, the first and the most important thing is do not panic, do not blame, just provide support, speak to them. They may not necessarily go straight to finding a solution right there and then, but just try to let them know that, okay, whatever is going on, I'm here, you can talk to me, and encourage them.
Absolutely.
And then you can start finding solutions and headway. Okay. Finally, remember that this is a conversation that we have every month with different mental health related topics. So this month is self-harm, and we just finished having this live. More content about self-harm will be posted on the Instagram page at Psychebabble NG. And if you know anyone or yourself who needs free mental health first aid or to speak with a trained counselor, all you have to do is send a DM to us or click the link in our bio, and you are on your way to speaking with a mental health first aider. And if you need therapy, you can also just send us a DM, and we have a therapist to refer you to. Okay, and do have a good evening, everyone, and enjoy your day. Remember, be a safe space to the people around you. Okay, all right, Abolanle, thank you so much for coming. Thank you
All right,
so
then.
much.
Take care. Bye, everyone.
All right, bye. Have a good evening. All right, you guys, thank you so much. Do not forget to follow care_space NG, and also follow Psychebabble Foundation. And if you need to speak with anyone, all you have to do is send a DM. You can send any of our posts to friends or to your stories so people know that there is help available. All right, on that note, have a good evening, everyone. Bye.